Welcome to my channel today, where we'll be taking a deep dive into the fascinating history of video games. From the earliest beginnings of electronic entertainment to the modern-day multi-billion-dollar industry, we'll explore the incredible evolution of video games over the last few decades. Our story begins in the early 1950s when the first electronic computers were being developed. Engineers and computer scientists began experimenting with ways to create interactive games using these new machines. One of the earliest examples of video games was a simple game called Tennis for Two, which was created in 1958 by physicist William Higginbotham. This game featured two dots on a screen that could be controlled using knobs to simulate a game of tennis. Another early game was Space War, which was created in 1962 by MIT students Steve Russell, Martin Greets, and Wayne Weetonen. This game featured two spaceships that could shoot at each other, and it was one of the first video games to be played on multiple computers. Let's dive into the rise of arcade games. As computer technology continued to develop, video games began to make their way into public spaces. The golden age of arcade games began in the late 1970s and continued through the 1980s. This era saw the rise of classic games like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Space Invaders, which became household names and helped to establish video games as a legitimate form of entertainment. Arcade games were typically housed in large, stand-up cabinets that allowed players to stand while they played. They were often found in shopping malls, arcades, and restaurants, and they quickly became a popular pastime for people of all ages. These games were also known for their catchy sound effects and music, which helped to make them even more memorable. The birth of home gaming can be traced back to the early 1970s with the release of the Magnavox Odyssey, which was the first home video game console. The Odyssey was a very basic console that had limited graphics and only a few games, but it paved the way for other home consoles that would soon follow. One of the most significant home consoles to be released in the early 1980s was the Atari 2600. The Atari 2600 was a huge success, and it helped to establish video games as a mainstream form of entertainment. The console featured a variety of classic games, including Space Invaders, Asteroids, and Pitfall, which became incredibly popular. Another important development in home gaming during this time was the introduction of personal computers. Companies like Apple, Commodore, and IBM began producing computers that could be used for gaming, and this helped to expand the market for video games even further. The evolution of home gaming really took off in the 1990s with the introduction of more powerful consoles like the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES. These consoles featured more advanced hardware that allowed for more complex and visually stunning games. The introduction of CD-ROMs also allowed for games with full motion video and high-quality sound, further enhancing the gaming experience. During this time, we also saw the rise of handheld gaming devices like the Nintendo Game Boy. These devices allowed people to take their favorite games with them on the go, and they quickly became incredibly popular. In fact, the Game Boy alone sold over 118 million units worldwide. In addition to these advancements in technology, the 1990s also saw the rise of online gaming. With the advent of the internet, people were able to connect with each other from all over the world and play games together. This paved the way for massively multiplayer online games, MMOs, which continue to be incredibly popular to this day. The era of 3D gaming really began in the mid-1990s with the release of consoles like the Nintendo 64 and the Sony PlayStation. These consoles featured more advanced graphics and processing power, which allowed for more complex and visually stunning games in 3 dimensions. One of the most important 3D games to be released during this time was Super Mario 64, which was released in 1996 for the Nintendo 64. This game was a massive success and is widely regarded as one of the best video games of all time. Other notable 3D games from this era include Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot, and GoldenEye 007. As the technology continued to improve, we also saw the rise of virtual reality, VR, gaming. Although VR gaming had been attempted in the past, it wasn't until the 2010s that the technology really began to take off. Today, there are a variety of VR headsets available for consumers, and VR games are becoming increasingly popular. The modern era of gaming is defined by a few key trends. One of the most important trends is the rise of mobile gaming. With the advent of smartphones and tablets, people are able to play games on the go more easily than ever before. Mobile games have become incredibly popular, with titles like Candy Crush and Pokémon Go becoming cultural phenomena. Another important trend in modern gaming is the continued growth of online gaming. With faster internet speeds and more advanced networking technology, people are able to connect with each other from all over the world and play games together. This has paved the way for esports, which are competitive video game tournaments that draw huge audiences and offer big prizes. Another major trend in modern gaming is the rise of indie games. Indie games are typically created by small, independent studios and offer unique gameplay experiences that are different from what you might find in more mainstream games. Many indie games have become critically acclaimed hits, and they often offer a more personal and artistic approach to game development. Finally, we're starting to see the development of virtual and augmented reality games become more prevalent. With the release of devices like the Oculus Rift and Microsoft HoloLens, game developers are starting to explore new ways of immersing players in their games. The future of gaming is always an exciting topic, and there are a lot of trends and developments to keep an eye on. One major trend that we're likely to see continue is the continued growth of virtual and augmented reality gaming. As the technology becomes more advanced and more affordable, we can expect to see more games that fully immerse players in their worlds. This could lead to new types of games and gameplay experiences that we haven't even imagined yet. Another trend that's likely to continue is the rise of cloud gaming. With cloud gaming, players don't need to own expensive hardware in order to play the latest games. Instead, they can simply stream the games over the internet and play them on any device. This could make gaming more accessible to a wider audience, and it could also change the way games are developed and distributed. Artificial intelligence, AI, is also likely to play a bigger role in gaming in the future. AI has already been used in games to create more advanced and realistic non-player characters, NPCs, but we could see it used in even more innovative ways in the future. For example, AI could be used to dynamically generate game worlds or to create more personalized gameplay experiences for individual players. Finally, we can expect to see new types of games emerge as technology continues to evolve. For example, we could see games that are designed specifically for virtual reality, or games that incorporate new types of input devices like haptic gloves or brain-computer interfaces. The impact of video games on society is a complex and sometimes controversial topic. While some people view video games as a harmless form of entertainment, others worry that they can have negative effects on individuals and society as a whole. One potential positive impact of video games is that they can be a valuable tool for education and training. Many games are designed to teach players specific skills, such as problem solving or decision making. Video games can also be used for training in a variety of fields, such as medicine, the military, and aviation. Another potential positive impact of video games is that they can bring people together and build communities. Online gaming, in particular, has been credited with creating new social connections and allowing people to connect with others who share their interests. However, video games have also been linked to a number of negative effects, such as increased aggression and addiction. Some studies have suggested that violent video games can lead to more aggressive behavior in players, while others have suggested that video game addiction can lead to social isolation and other negative outcomes. Ultimately, the impact of video games on society is a complex issue that requires careful consideration and research. While there are certainly potential negative effects associated with video games, it's also clear that they can have many positive impacts as well. The future of video game development is a fascinating topic with a lot of potential developments to keep an eye on. One major trend that we're likely to see continue is the use of artificial intelligence, AI, in game development. AI is already being used to create more advanced and realistic non-player characters, NPCs, but we could see it used in even more innovative ways in the future. For example, AI could be used to dynamically generate game worlds or to create more personalized gameplay experiences for individual players. Another trend we're likely to see is the continued development of new input devices and technologies. Haptic gloves, for example, could allow players to feel sensations like texture and temperature in their virtual environments. Brain-computer interfaces, meanwhile, could allow players to control games with their thoughts. We're also likely to see more cross-platform games in the future. As technology continues to advance, it's becoming easier to develop games that can be played on multiple devices and platforms. This could lead to more seamless experiences for players, as they could easily switch between devices without losing progress in their games. Finally, we could see more games that are designed specifically for virtual and augmented reality. As the technology becomes more advanced and more affordable, we can expect to see more games that fully immerse players in their worlds. This could lead to new types of games and gameplay experiences that we haven't even imagined yet. And that concludes our look at the history and future of video games. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.